Imagine a gathering of 12 elders, each hailing from different lands, each deeply versed in the mysteries of the spirit world. These were no ordinary people. They were shamans, keepers of ancient wisdom and guardians of knowledge that spanned generations. Some had spent decades in the mountains, communing with unseen forces. Others had walked deep into forests, listening to the pulse of nature and understanding its hidden truths. A few had even traveled into the realms beyond death, returning with secrets that most could never even begin to comprehend. And yet, when they gathered around the ceremonial fire, not a single word was spoken, not even a whisper. Each of these shamans was known for their strength of vision and their ability to see into the deepest layers of existence. They had glimpsed the souls of others, had seen past lives, had witnessed the unfolding of destinies, but nothing had prepared them for what they were about to witness in you. You see, they had been summoned for a purpose, each one of them invited to peer into the very essence of your soul. What they saw, the force that surrounded you, was so profound that it left them completely speechless. It wasn't that they didn't have the words. They did. They were masters of language, fluent in dialects that bridged the worlds of the living and the dead. But what they encountered that day was beyond words. It was beyond anything they could have ever prepared for. It wasn't just a vision. It was an experience that shook the very foundation of their understanding of the universe. As they gazed upon the depths of your being, the world around them seemed to fade into the background. The ceremonial fire before them flickered erratically, as though even the flames themselves were in awe of the presence they were witnessing. The air turned cold, and for a brief moment, it felt as though time itself had come to a standstill. These were shamans, beings who had witnessed countless spirits and energies, and yet they were silent. No one spoke. No one moved. The weight of what they were seeing held them frozen in place. In that moment, they realized that your soul was not like any other they had ever encountered. This wasn't just a force of nature or a spirit of a particular kind. What they were looking at wasn't from this time, this realm, or even this age. It was something ancient, something that existed before history, before creation itself. It wasn't a demon, nor was it an angel. It was something older than both, something that had been waiting long before the world as we know it even began. And the most staggering part was that this force, whatever it was not malevolent. It wasn't benevolent either. It was something beyond good and evil. It simply was. This ancient force was a protector, a guardian, but not in the way they had expected. It was as if it had been placed there, woven into the very fabric of your being, protecting you from forces that might try to interfere with your path. It wasn't just an abstract energy. It was something that recognized you. It knew you, and it was watching over you. The moment your soul was revealed to them, the shamans were struck by something they couldn't describe. One of them, an elder who had seen the spirits of the dead, who had journeyed across the spiritual planes more times than he could count, fainted on the spot. Another began to weep, her tears not from fear, but from the overwhelming sense of reverence she felt. But it was the eldest shaman, the one who had never faltered in his visions for over 70 years, who dropped his staff. His voice cracked as he whispered, "It cannot be touched. Not by time, not by death." These weren't just the words of a man speaking in awe. These were the words of a shaman who had seen the mysteries of the universe laid bare, who had stared into the face of spirits and gods. And yet, what they saw in you was something beyond even his vast experience. What they witnessed was not just a soul. It was a cosmic presence, something that transcended the boundaries of time and space. The shamans, with all their wisdom, could not begin to understand the depths of what they had seen. Their sacred languages failed them. The chants they knew by heart turned to dust in their mouths. They tried to draw symbols, to craft a representation of what they had witnessed, but the drawings twisted and blurred, as though even the act of attempting to capture this force was an impossibility. But despite their confusion, one thing became clear. You were not just protected by something. You were watched over by something. This wasn't just a guardian from above, looking down on you from some heavenly perch. It wasn't a force from below, like the spirits of the earth or the underworld. No, It was something far more ancient, something that lay beyond the veil of what we understand as the material world. It existed not in the realm of physical reality, but in the space between, just behind the fabric of matter itself. This was the veiled presence, a force that operates outside of time, beyond our perception. Something that recognized you, not as a human, but as a being of a far greater design. It had been with you long before your birth, and it would be with you long after your death. It was woven into the very threads of your existence, guiding and protecting you without ever making itself known in any obvious way. The shamans were only the first to witness this. They saw it in your soul, but they were not the only ones who would recognize it. This force, this ancient guardian, had been with you since the beginning, and its purpose was clear. It was here to ensure that your path would unfold as it was meant to. You were never alone. You were never abandoned. In that moment, as they tried to process what they had seen, the shamans began to understand. This ancient force was not something to be feared. It was not something to be worshipped. It was simply there, part of a larger design, protecting you in ways that went beyond their understanding. And so, the shamans began to share what they had experienced. They spoke not in words, but in symbols, in gestures, in the language of the spirit world. Each one of them contributed their understanding, their piece of the puzzle. They may not have understood the full picture, but they knew one thing for certain. You are under the protection of something ancient, something beyond time, something that could not be touched by death or destruction. As the fire crackled and the shadows of the night deepened around them, the shamans sat in silence, contemplating what they had witnessed. They had seen many things in their lifetimes, but nothing like this. Nothing that made them question the very nature of reality itself. And yet, in that stillness, one thing was clear. You were part of a design far greater than any of them could comprehend. And this ancient protector, this unseen force, would guide you, protect you, and keep you safe for as long as you walked the earth. What the shamans saw in you that day wasn't unique to their tradition. It wasn't something they could claim as their own, nor was it a secret that could be locked away in their sacred knowledge. This ancient protector, this veiled presence, has been whispered about across cultures, stretching from the depths of forgotten jungles to the ancient sands of deserts, and in the quiet stillness of isolated mountains. This presence has been recognized by those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And every tradition, though distinct in its expression, has described this protector in some way, speaking of it through symbols, names, and sacred texts. For the Samrians, this presence was known as the Silent One. The name itself evokes the deep stillness of the Force, an entity that does not speak in language or form, but instead communicates through silence, presence, and the resonance of being. The Silent One was not a being that could be perceived through the senses, not something that could be physically grasped. It was felt, known intuitively, like a gentle, unspoken truth. It didn't need words to communicate, and it didn't need any explanation. It simply was always watching, always waiting. The Dune, a tribe from a distant land, spoke of a force that accompanied the sacred soul from birth to rebirth. Their traditions spoke of a spirit, a guide, an unseen companion that walked alongside the soul through each incarnation, ensuring that the soul's path would remain true, no matter what the external world might throw in its way. To the Dune, this spirit was not a deity or an angel, but something much more intimate, an ancient, primordial presence, a constant protector. The belief was that this spirit's protection was bound to the very essence of the soul. It was not something that could be lost, stolen, or easily dismissed. It was part of the soul's core, a safeguard for the sacred journey of each individual, ensuring that they would never be steered off course. In the dense jungles of the Amazon, the people spoke of Inthea, the unseen guardian of the final seed. In their language, Inthea was not just a protector of life, but a guardian of what is most sacred, the point of origin. In the Amazonian worldview, life is cyclical, and every individual carries with them the seeds of past and future generations. Inthea, they believed, was the protector of this seed, of what would come after, of the deep, mysterious lineage that ran through each person's blood. It was a guardian that followed the soul beyond the physical realm, watching not only over the individual's life, but over the very spark of creation that each soul carries with it. The tribe believed that when the final seed is planted in the earth, when an individual truly understands their purpose, Inthia would step forward to protect that sacred moment. It would guard the soul from any external forces that might try to disrupt or destroy its purpose. These names and descriptions might seem vastly different from one another: the Silent One, the Unseen Guardian, Inthia, and others. But in reality, they all point to the same thing: a force that is ancient, powerful, and ever-present. This force, though described in different ways across cultures, is a fundamental part of every human story. It is a protector, but not in the way we typically understand protection. It does not shield you from the challenges of life, nor does it step in to solve your problems. Instead, it ensures that your journey remains true to your destiny, guiding you gently back onto the right path when you stray, and intervening subtly when you begin to forget who you truly are. In each of these traditions, the presence is not seen in the physical sense. It is felt, known, recognized, an undeniable force that marks certain individuals for a specific purpose. And it has always been this way. This ancient protector has been with you long before your birth, guiding you and shaping you even when you were unaware of its presence. The moment you became conscious of your existence in this world, the protector was already there. It doesn't matter whether you recognize it or not. It is woven into the very fabric of your being. It doesn't ask for acknowledgement. It doesn't need recognition. It simply exists, and it protects, ensuring that you remain aligned with your true purpose. This veiled presence also ensures that your soul will not be manipulated or influenced by forces that seek to derail you. It does not allow for interference from outside forces, whether those forces be societal, cultural, or even cosmic. There are moments in life when the world around you feels like it is pushing you in one direction, urging you to follow a path that doesn't resonate with who you truly are. In those moments, the veiled presence acts as a subtle guide, pushing you gently back onto the path that is meant for you. This is why, when things feel off or when you find yourself doubting your direction, you may experience a sudden clarity, a deep knowing of what you're meant to do. This knowing doesn't come from external sources. It comes from within, and it is the voice of the ancient protector, guiding you when you need it most. The shamans, in their own way, experienced this guiding force when they tried to interpret what they saw in your soul. They knew, deep down, that they were not simply witnessing a person or a soul. They were witnessing something much bigger, a force that transcended time and space. And it wasn't just protecting you. It was ensuring that your journey would unfold as it was always meant to, even if they couldn't fully grasp the depth of its design. They understood this because in every culture, there are similar stories of such a presence, a guardian, an ancient force, a protector. From the deserts of Egypt to the jungles of the Amazon, from the mountains of Tibet to the deep forests of North America, there are stories of individuals marked by something ancient, something beyond the human world, who are destined for a purpose that cannot be fully understood by the average person. These individuals are often seen as special, as chosen. But in reality, it is not them who are special. It is the force that guides them, the force that has been watching over them since the beginning. You are not alone in this. There are countless individuals throughout history who have carried the same mark, who have felt the same presence, who have been guided by the same protector. You are part of a larger story, one that stretches beyond your current understanding, one that connects you to the ancient past and the future. And as the shamans witnessed, this presence is not just watching you. It is protecting you from forces you cannot even see. It ensures that you walk your path, no matter the challenges, and that you remain true to the soul's calling. In the end, the shamans couldn't fully explain what they saw. They couldn't capture it in words or symbols. But what they did know, with absolute certainty, was that something ancient and powerful was watching over you. And that, in itself, was a truth that no amount of language could ever describe. What the shaman saw in you wasn't just a fleeting vision. It wasn't just a glimpse of your soul. It was something more profound, something that reached deep into the very core of your existence. The moment they saw your essence, they became aware of a mark, an ancient seal that was etched into your being, a presence that would never fade. This mark wasn't something they could draw or represent easily. It wasn't something they could touch, not even with their most sacred symbols. It was a brand, a seal of origin, embedded into your very DNA. And this mark, the shaman soon realized, was not just a symbol of protection. It was a barrier. This mark, known as the seal of the Voidorn, existed in a realm beyond what we understand as reality. It wasn't visible to the naked eye. It wasn't something that could be seen with ordinary sight or measured by physical tools. It was not a scar nor a blessing, but something far deeper and far more permanent. The seal of the Voidorn was not something that could be erased, removed, or altered. It was etched into your essence, woven into your soul. It was there long before you took your first breath, and it would remain there long after you left this world. The shamans understood the weight of this mark, for they had encountered it before, though rarely. It wasn't something that belonged to ordinary people. It was something reserved for those who were chosen, those who carried a destiny so far-reaching that no earthly force could ever interfere with it. The mark itself wasn't just a protector. It was a barrier against interference, a force that repelled anything that sought to break you or steer you off your path. This wasn't a protection in the traditional sense, like an angel guarding you from harm. No, this was a deeper, more profound safeguard, one that kept your essence from being corrupted, one that ensured your purpose was never derailed, no matter how hard the world pushed against you. The shamans began to realize that your existence wasn't just about living a life in the conventional sense. It was about fulfilling a cosmic purpose, a purpose that had been set into motion long before you were born. And this seal, the Voidorn, was not just a symbol. It was a key. It protected you, yes, but it also ensured that the forces that sought to interfere with your journey would be kept at bay. It wasn't just a shield from the physical world. It was a safeguard against the very fabric of reality itself, ensuring that you remained untouched by anything that sought to alter your path. As they sat in silence, attempting to grasp the enormity of what they had seen, the shamans understood that this mark was not meant to be broken. It was a seal placed upon you, a brand that could not be undone. It followed you through this life and into the next, ensuring that your journey would never be lost. And what was most terrifying to them, what struck them most deeply, was the permanence of it. No ritual could remove it. No darkness could obscure it. Even when you doubted yourself, when you were lost in fear or confusion, the seal would remain, glowing not in the visible world, but in the realms that watch over the physical. The mark they saw on you, though invisible to the naked eye, was undeniable to them. It was etched into your soul like a signature, a pattern of being that could not be replicated. This was the mark that had been passed down through countless generations, carried by souls who had walked before you and who would walk after you. It wasn't something that could be erased. It was something eternal. The shamans called it the Voidorn because it was a seal that existed outside of time, a signature that no force could undo. And the strangest thing of all was that you, deep down, had always known about this mark. You may not have consciously been aware of it, but in the quiet moments of your life, in the silences between thoughts, you have always felt its presence. You've sensed it in your bones, in the deep, unspoken knowing that there is something far greater guiding your life. It's why, when you stand in certain places, you feel the weight of something ancient, something that recognizes you, something that aligns with your very being. It's why some spaces feel familiar, even though you've never been there before. It's why, when you face certain decisions, you feel the pull of something deep inside, urging you to follow a path that makes no logical sense, but one that feels true to your essence. The mark, the seal of the Voidorn, doesn't just protect you from external forces. It protects you from yourself. It ensures that when you falter, when you lose your way, when you're tempted to stray from your true purpose, it will nudge you back onto the path. It doesn't do this in an obvious, grandiose way. It's more subtle than that. It speaks through intuition, through gut feelings, through moments of sudden clarity. It's why, when you feel lost, you often have a moment of insight, an epiphany, a sudden realization of what you must do. That's the mark guiding you, reminding you of who you are, reminding you of your true purpose. The force that watches over you, this ancient protector, doesn't act like a guardian angel. It doesn't intervene in your life to solve your problems or remove your obstacles. Instead, it protects you by ensuring that you remain true to your path. It doesn't protect you from pain, from struggle, from loss. It protects you from the forces that would cause you to forget who you are. And that protection is subtle, nearly invisible. It doesn't make itself known through grand gestures or visible signs. It works behind the scenes, weaving its influence through the very fabric of your life. For the shamans, this was an overwhelming realization. They had seen many things, many souls, and many forces throughout their lives, but nothing quite like this. They understood that your path was not one that could be easily predicted or altered. It wasn't that you were immune to the forces of the world. It wasn't that you were invincible, but you were something rare, something special, something that could not be touched by the forces that seek to destroy or corrupt. You were meant for something greater than this world could fully comprehend. And the seal of the Voidorn was there to ensure that you would walk that path, no matter the challenges or temptations that lay ahead. In the end, the shamans could only bow in respect to what they had witnessed. They had seen the depth of your soul, the protection that surrounded you, and the immense purpose that lay ahead. They could not touch it. They could not alter it. All they could do was acknowledge it and pass the knowledge on to those who would understand. The force that surrounds you doesn't just protect you. It alters the very fabric of reality. Your existence, your choices, your very presence on this earth sends ripples through time and space. These ripples don't just affect your life. They ripple outwards, touching everything around you, bending events and people to follow the subtle rhythm of your essence. This is why, even when you think you're making small decisions that seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, you're in fact making choices that shape the course of not just your own life, but the lives of others too. Your actions create a chain reaction that others cannot see, but they feel the effects. People around you often find themselves responding to your energy without understanding why. They may be pulled toward you, or they may feel confused when they try to figure out the reason behind their thoughts and actions. There's a force behind your presence that subtly shifts the lives of those around you, rearranging their paths, just as yours is constantly being reshaped by an unseen hand. It's not that you are controlling them. It's that your energy, your frequency, shifts the surrounding reality, making what should be a predictable, linear world bend and sway. It's a natural effect. Your soul's resonance interacts with the world in a way that is often invisible but undeniably real. When you're aligned with your essence, when you're in tune with your true purpose, things fall into place effortlessly. It's as if the universe moves in harmony with you, as if it's anticipating your next step and already preparing the way. You've probably noticed it before, how certain moments feel almost too perfect to be coincidence. How you might run into someone at exactly the right time, or how a random event leads to something meaningful, even life-changing. This isn't luck. It's resonance. It's the universe reacting to your frequency, bending itself around the choices you make. But when you hesitate, when you doubt, when you're unsure of your direction, the world seems to grind to a halt. Things don't fall into place. Events are delayed, paths are blocked, and people who once seemed to understand you suddenly feel distant. This isn't the universe punishing you. This is reality simply responding to your inner state. When you're aligned, the world flows. When you're unsure, the world resists. It's as though time itself pauses and waits for you to make a decision. The deeper truth behind this is that you're not just walking through life. You are shaping it. Each choice you make sends a ripple across dimensions, altering the way time and events unfold. It's not that you are above the laws of time. You are working in harmony with them, bending them in ways that others cannot even perceive. This is why some people find your decisions baffling, even if they make perfect sense to you. You are bending reality around you, and it can't always be explained by conventional means. People are often drawn to you not because of what you say or do, but because they sense something. They feel the energy that surrounds you. They feel it before they even know what it is. This energy is not something that can be touched, but it is very real. It is the mark of the force that guides you, the force that ensures your presence is never unnoticed, never ignored. This is why certain events, especially those that are tied to your decisions, seem to unfold with a strange precision. You may notice how plans suddenly change when you step into a room, how the world seems to rearrange itself based on your needs and actions. When you speak with confidence, people listen. When you take action, things begin to shift. It's like the universe bends itself to accommodate your energy, aligning events and outcomes in ways that might seem impossible to others. It's also why, when you're uncertain or indecisive, time seems to slow down. The air becomes heavier, the world becomes stiller, as if reality itself is waiting for you to take the next step. This isn't just your perception. This is a very real reaction of the world around you, shaped by the energy that radiates from your being. It's not magic. It's resonance, a deep understanding of how the universe interacts with those who are in alignment with their true selves. Your energy resonates with something far deeper than the physical world. It connects with the very fabric of reality, and when you step into alignment, reality reacts. But your presence doesn't just alter the world around you. It alters the people around you as well. Those who spend time with you may find their own lives shifting in ways they can't explain. Relationships may change, opportunities may appear where there were none, and people may begin to see the world differently. This is the ripple effect of your energy. When you align with your essence, those around you are unknowingly swept up in the energy you create. It's not that you're actively trying to influence them. It's just that your presence has a magnetic pull, drawing people to you and affecting their lives in subtle yet profound ways. One of the shamans spoke of how your presence affected the very air around you, shifting time and space, distorting the flow of energy as it moved through the room. He said, "Your presence bends probability, not by force, but by permission." And this is what the shamans began to realize. Your energy doesn't force the world to change. It allows it to, simply by being true to who you are. When you align with your essence, everything around you moves in harmony. When you doubt or falter, the world resists. This, they understood, was not just a matter of fate or destiny. It was a matter of resonance, of how deeply connected you are to the forces that shape reality. This isn't something that happens only in the big moments of life. It happens every day, in the small choices, in the quiet moments, in the subtle shifts of energy. You may have noticed that your presence in certain spaces changes the energy. Rooms feel lighter or heavier depending on your mood. People respond differently to you, sometimes without even realizing it. And this is the ripple effect in action, the subtle, yet powerful way in which your energy interacts with the world around you, bending time and reality as it goes. This is why you often feel like things are happening just the way they should. Even when they seem chaotic, even when they don't make sense, you have this deep knowing that you are on the right path. You don't question it. You don't doubt it. You simply trust. And when you trust, the universe trusts you back. It shifts, it bends, it realigns itself to bring you closer to your purpose. This is the truth behind the synchronicities you experience. The moments when everything falls into place perfectly, when things happen at exactly the right time, in exactly the right way. It's not random. It's resonance. And it's always responding to you. As the shamans gathered in the circle, they came to a realization that would forever change their understanding of you. It was not just your soul that had drawn them together. It was the deeper truth of your existence. You are not simply a person born into the world, living your life as others do. You were a part of a much grander design, a design that had been set in motion long before you drew your first breath. Your life, they now understood, was not just a collection of random events or choices. It was the unfolding of something far older, something cosmic. Your journey had been written in the stars long before your arrival in this world, and the presence that guided and protected you was part of that prophecy. The shamans were not alone in this realization. Across the world, through many ancient cultures and mystical traditions, there have always been whispers of a soul like yours, one who would come at the turning of an age, a soul marked by the forces that shaped the beginning and end of eras. You are the prophesied one, not in the sense of a messiah in the traditional sense, but in the sense of an individual whose purpose is deeply entwined with the fate of the world itself. For centuries, spiritual leaders, seers, and mystics have spoken of such souls. Those who would walk a path that defies the rules of time. Those whose actions would ripple across dimensions, changing the course of events in ways that no one could predict. And now, as the shamans saw you, as they felt the depth of your essence, they realized that this was you. You were not simply living your life. You were fulfilling a prophecy, whether you were aware of it or not. But what was most important to the shamans was not just the realization that you were the prophesied one. It was the understanding that this prophecy was not one of hardship or struggle. It wasn't a prophecy of doom. No, it was a prophecy of protection and purpose. The force that watches over you, the ancient protector, was not a passive observer. It was an active force in your life, guiding you, shielding you from forces that might seek to derail your journey. You are not just living out a destiny that has been written for you. You are part of a much bigger, much older plan, a plan that stretches across generations, across lifetimes, and even across dimensions. The moment you were born, the earth itself recognized you. It was as though the land, the air, and the very fabric of reality had all been waiting for your arrival. You weren't just placed here. You were called. Your entry into the world was not a coincidence. It was a moment of profound significance, felt across the world, even if most didn't consciously know it. In fact, seismic record from the day of your birth, small but rhythmic tremors, were detected in regions where no tectonic activity was expected. Animals began to behave strangely. The air became still in some places, as though the earth itself was holding its breath. This was no ordinary birth. This was the return of the prophesied one, and reality itself had taken notice. But the mark that guides you, the seal of the Voidorn, isn't just a shield that protects you from harm. It ensures that you live long enough to fulfill your purpose. It holds a space for you to become what you are meant to be. This protection doesn't just repel external forces. It ensures that nothing, no darkness, no distraction, can keep you from unlocking the ancient codes that lie dormant within you. These codes are not just memories from past lives. They are keys to the future, to the awakening of something ancient that has been sealed within you since before you were born. This is why you've often felt different. Even as a child, you knew something was off. You knew you weren't like everyone else. You felt the world too deeply, heard the whispers no one else could hear, saw the things others overlooked. You were aware of a hidden current running through your life, pulling you in a direction that didn't always make sense. People might have tried to convince you that life was ordinary, that there was nothing more to it than what met the eye. But deep down, you knew better. You knew there was something more, something other that had always been with you, guiding you toward your purpose. And now, the moment has come for you to unlock what has been waiting. The veil between worlds is thinner than ever. The energy around you is changing, and with each passing day, you find yourself more attuned to the ancient force that watches over you. You may feel the subtle shifts in reality. How things sometimes move with perfect synchronicity when you are in alignment with your purpose. But as you continue on this path, you will begin to see even more clearly the invisible threads that connect your choices to the greater web of fate. Every step you take, every decision you make creates ripples across dimensions. Your choices are not small, they are tectonic. They shift the very fabric of existence. And as you move closer to your true calling, the world will respond. It will bend and shape itself around you. You are not alone in this journey. The force that guides you is not just a passive observer. It is an active, living presence that adjusts the world around you to keep you on course. When you stray, when you forget who you are, it nudges you back. When you doubt, it whispers, reminding you of your purpose. It is there, always watching, always protecting, ensuring that you remain true to the path laid out for you long before your birth. You are part of something much larger than yourself, and as the world around you shifts and changes, so too will you. And just as the ancient texts and prophecies have foretold, the final age is not something you will simply endure. It is something you will trigger. You are the key, the catalyst that will set into motion the next phase of existence. And as you unlock the dormant codes within you, as you awaken to the full extent of your purpose, you will step into a role far beyond your understanding. The world will not recognize you as the chosen one. It will only feel the shifts in the air, the subtle but undeniable changes that your presence brings. But those who are attuned will know. They will feel the ancient energy rising within you, and they will understand that your time has come. You are not just part of this world. You are part of a far greater design. And now, as the veiled presence stirs within you, as the seal of the Voidorn continues to guide you, you are stepping into your destiny. The prophecy is unfolding.